ended up in a garage. I'm amazed. Look at this. This is what was around before MG. You can see there are really beautiful cars here for the connoisseurs. Maybe you can tell me what this is. I just wanted a little piece here. Look, back then the MG logo already had the idea. Normally there was one at the back exactly. It hasn't changed all these years, but you can see that the style has evolved a little bit. And by the way, for those who now know the Cyberster, which is kind of the little granddaughter of this, and I put the new model for you. Hello everyone, and welcome to the mecaniquesportive YouTube channel. This is Nicholas. Today I'm introducing the brand new MGS 5th. What is this toy? And actually these are parts that we already know. At MG, it's the same chassis as the MG Cyberster and the MG4, but in a more accessible version and with a slightly different look. Let's say it kind of replaces the Mercedes MG ZSB, because actually MG ZS, well, it sounds a bit like Mercedes. That's why I got confused. But it's a 100% electric version. It will come with 2 battery options and different prices and finishes. Of course, as usual, I'm giving you the most complete test on the internet for this car. We're going to try all kinds of roads. Today we're starting with 100% battery, and the goal is to come back to this spot with as close to 0% as possible. And we'll see how it goes. I have the big battery today. It's available either with a 49 kilowatt battery or a 64 kilowatt battery like the one I have today. And the small one is in lithium iron phosphate. The big one is in lithium manganese cobalt. We're used to that with MG. As for the range, the small one is rated for 340 kilometers of range, and the big one is rated for up to 480 kilometers of range. That's the worldwide harmonized light vehicles test procedure mixed cycle under good conditions. As for charging, the small battery charges at 120 kilo and the big battery at 139 kilo. About 28 minutes for this one and 24 minutes for the smaller battery in terms of charging power. You can choose between 170 horsepower for the small one with 250 Nm of torque or 231 horsepower, which we have today with 350 Newton meters of torque. All of that with rear wheel drive. 8 seconds for the small version from 0 to 100, 6.3 seconds for this one. We'll see that it actually works pretty well. It's even very dynamic. I really wasn't expecting that kind of chassis, and I was quite surprised. We'll talk about it again during this test drive. We'll also talk about comfort and other things. We'll see that there's a pretty coherent mix with this type of chassis. The maximum speeds, 170 kilometers per hour, maximum for the small battery, 190 kilometers per hour, still impressive. For this version here, it's the 3rd generation of battery. They've revised the software, the algorithms, all of that, all to make it optimized. To get the best range, it will be available in comfort trim or in luxury trim. Starting at 32,490 euros for the first version with the small battery comfort version and the maximum version. Like the one I have here today, about 38,500 euros. In terms of size, it's a toy that's 4 meters 48 long, 1 meter 85 wide here, and 1 meter 62 high. As for the weight, we're looking at weights that are relatively contained, 1,635 kilograms for the small battery, and about 1,730 kilograms for this version. Right here, the cars can tow up to 750 kilograms in both cases. As for the turning diameter, it's 10.5 meters, and they've done a lot of work on this car. For the drag coefficient, we have a value of just 0.27, which is pretty good for a vehicle of this size. In 2025, there will be 3 new launches. So this Sync electric vehicle there will also be the SSX electric vehicle, which will be a different format, and also the new hybrid Sport Hybrid. It will be available in 6 colors, blue, white, red, black, white, and grays, which normally makes 6 colors with different shades of gray. What do you think about that? At first glance, this look has a bit of a Cupra vibe. I don't know if you also noticed that a little bit here and there. I like it, it's fun. They've been doing some pretty cool stuff lately. You can see we've got roof bars up there, which can support up to 75 kilograms. That's pretty good. Unfortunately, there's no sunroof for Europe, but I know it exists in other countries. At the front, I don't know. I haven't even checked if there's a frunk or not. Hold on, I pulled twice. That lets me access this, and normally there's no extra safety latch. No, unfortunately, actually, there's no frunk. Well, there's nothing here, but on the other hand, you can see there's a very nice strut bar. That's also why you can feel this rigidity, this solidity, and this dynamism. It's rare these days to find cars that aren't sporty and have strut bars at Les Plaines. From the front, you can see it still has a pretty aggressive look. Here we have this nose that comes down all the way here instead of stopping straight, and then something very vertical. The big MG logo placed here again in a chrome style is a very modern thing, as I was saying, and you can see it here as well. And above all, what impresses me here is really this big air curtain. Here you can really put your hand through it. The daytime running lights are on the upper part here with these 3 stripes. And what's pretty funny is that they made a top, a bottom, a top. It's rare. Usually everything is aligned, but this really gives it its own style. And the LED unit on the lower part with a really integrated section, especially dedicated for the low beams. Here in SEP 6, it's pretty stylish. We have grills at the bottom to allow for ventilation and to cool or heat the battery pack. A small blade here, made of plastic, otherwise almost everything is painted. It's well finished, it's quite nice. The license plate holder is right in the center, and you can see it on this luxury version. You can notice a camera at the front, just like on the sides, near the mirrors, and you'll see inside. There's something pretty cool. When you reverse, you can even see what's underneath the car, thanks to the rear camera, which records the whole area. And that's pretty cool. At the front, you find the same thing. I don't know if this reminds you of anything, but Mini and BMW are doing this right now with this very vertical part separated here. Yeah, why not? And I have to admit, I almost prefer it here than on Mini and BMW. What do you think about it from the side? Here's what it looks like. So, as usual, it looks a bit like a sport utility vehicle, since sport utility vehicle S are really in fashion right now. Even though MG used to make the MG5, which was kind of a station wagon, that kind of car is rare now. So the bars here, with its own style, a matte finish, we still keep a bit of chrome, or on a Chinese car, there's still chrome, even though here in Europe, it's disappearing more and more. But on the lower part, in black, it looks nicer. The rear window is tinted on these versions. Anyway, that's become almost standard on pretty much all cars. Fridge style handles, but still with the little button because we have keyless entry, so you can get in just by pressing it. Here, something very simple on the side is gone on the bottom with plastic side panels and plastic wheel arches. To always give that little bit of a sport utility vehicle look that gives cars an adventurous side, we have 18-inch rims here, which still allows us to have tires. With a bit of sidewall to keep some comfort and cushioning, and disc brakes at the front and rear. And as I was saying, it's a rear-wheel drive type car, so the engine is located at the rear, and it's the same engine as the MG4 Explorer or the Cyberstar, but it was revised to 231 horsepower. A little touch of 3 careers, because you know I really like the 3 careers. That allows us to clearly see the shapes here. For example, the spoiler there, here, the widened rear parts that come out. And all of that is to make its wheel arches stand out a bit. It's pretty nice. The shapes are well designed. We have this part, which we already saw a little bit on the MG4. It looks like this strip, there's something placed on top of it. Here it cuts off pretty sharply, and that's true. The rear window is very vertical and goes straight up, which normally allows for more space for the rear passengers. We'll see how that turns out. When I sit down, I'm 6 feet tall. Just a reminder, the small windshield wiper is always a real plus. The camera is located here, right in the center. I really like that. And this long strip that runs almost all the way across the back, but is separated in the center by this little logo, MG ZS5 electric vehicle. Here to remind us, is this what we bought? Almost everything is painted up to this part at the bottom, where really the entire lowest part of the vehicle is made of plastic. The parking sensors here, even with you would see on the screen the distance and proximity in centimeters, which shows exactly how many centimeters. You are really close to the obstacle that's behind you. In short, something quite simple but effective, and that works well. This big headband, I like it. What do you think about long headbands? Now, it's really become a trend. On the other hand, at the back, the trunk here opens electrically, which is pretty cool. You have 453 liters of cargo space, and when you fold everything down, it's 1,441 liters. You can see that here I have my sports bag with my coat. There are bins on the sides. You can put, for example, a small umbrella. And even MG La Classe, I don't know if you get one. If you buy an MG for free, I think you can negotiate that. We have a floor here. You can lift up my access, so a place to store your cables. And also here, a second cable. What's nice is that you can put some cables and a few small items here, and it really goes all the way to the back. So either I can remove this part, which gives me a deeper floor, or I can use 2 levels, which allows me to separate and organize things. I think it's always better for cables to put them in a different compartment, and especially they're stored underneath. That way they don't end up all over the place. We also have a bin on this side. 453 liters, you know that's enough. Nico? Getting in here isn't too much of a problem. Honestly, I still have quite a bit of space. We have a shelf that holds up, some small hooks here to hang your bag, and a nice white handle right here. That's pretty good. Let's see what's happening inside now. So how are the back seats? So we have a large door with a good opening angle, which gives me a nice view of this rear area. And this rear area looks extremely spacious here. Even when I open the door, it's pretty nice. The armrest here, with this kind of a leather-like imitation that's padded and pleasant, is the same as the rest of the door panel, right here. Here it looks like leather, but actually no, it's plastic. From here on, it's a plastic part and on the bottom as well. But basically everything you're actually going to touch on a daily basis is like this. A good texture, we have a big speaker right here. The sound system is actually pretty good, to be honest with you. The battery pack, it's only 11 centimeters high, which normally gives you a little more room for your feet. We'll see when I get back. This bench seat is pretty nice. It's a mix between fabric here and some kind of leather imitation. It's actually quite nice. A few small perforations, the armrest with the strap, that's really nice. And there's even a little cup holder here, not hidden or anything. So even in an Audi or Mercedes, they don't even make that effort. To give you an idea, okay, come on, let me get in here. There we go. I'll pull this up here. So they did something smart. They tilted the back seat backwards, and they also tilted the seat cushion, which allows me to be well supported here, to be right up against the back, and to be comfortably seated with good support here. At the thigh level, we have a flat floor, so that means I can move around all along here, and that's extremely spacious, generous. The roof is positioned very high, even though I'm sitting quite low. In the end, look when I bring my feet here. But since I can only move them forward a little bit, it gives me support behind my thighs. I want to move them forward. So then it makes me point my toes a little bit. So my foot is kind of like this. But honestly, I'm pretty comfortable. But honestly, to be completely transparent with you, we don't hide anything here. This belt is really placed on the backrest part here, which means that when I'm here, I actually feel it right there. Here, around my ribs, that's a bit of a shame. I would have preferred if they were a bit more to the side, or else I'll want to push it where I think it's quickly going to end up, like this. There, that would be the right technique, right? Actually, there's a better way to put it like this, so it doesn't bother me at all. Oh yeah, that's much better, because otherwise it gets in your way a little bit here. So it's better to leave it attached this way. But the space is huge here. Look at the headroom. I still have about 10 centimeters above my head, and I have nice white letters that light up. Here we all have handles, except for the driver and this little thing here to hang your hanger on each side. We have a USB Type-C port, and here we have the ventilation. So you can't adjust the flow or the power, but you can just direct it where you want, like towards your feet. It's huge. Honestly, it's super spacious in the back, and like I said, everything I touch feels nice. It's pretty good looking. What more could you ask for? Let's check out this 5th seat here with my seatbelt on. Whoa, this one's a lot firmer. Here, it's really hard. The backrest is very hard. It's not comfortable at all anymore, but I still have about 15 centimeters in front of my knees. I have room for my feet. I can slide my feet underneath in the back. This part, the center console, on the other hand, is very firm, but here, there's absolutely no support at all. Well, if it's a slightly restless child, you can put them here, but grandma will probably prefer the sides. It can work. We might not cross France here, but there's enough space to go to school every morning or do other things, or drop someone off, or go shopping. Honestly, it's spacious and it's pretty good. And if I fold down my seat here, what's nice is that it gives me an almost flat floor when the floor is at its highest level. Isofix anchor points on both end seats, here and there. Unfortunately, we don't have a pocket in the back here. In short, it's pretty generous, spacious, and you feel good in here. We have windows that are very large, so no, I can't open them from here, but that's because they're locked. For me, it's because they were locked, like his window over there. With a push and it opens almost all the way down. it was pretty close. But this part here is good, and I have a small section before that touches the glass a little. But honestly, it's fine for the summer. Cruising like this, for example, a little breeze that passes through the cabin. I have to admit, it feels good. All right, come on, let me show you the front. But there's no boost to go back up though. All right, as usual, before I show you the interior, I'll give you a quick tour of the outside like this, in motion, real, live. It still has style. It definitely has something unique about it. I really like these lights. They have a pretty aggressive aerodynamic look. There's something about it. And I feel like there's a mix of quite a few brands on the front here between this, and this. But it suits him the way he comes back, something a little more basic. It's true that the sides are often less worked on, but simple and effective. The little lines expected right here, and this one that starts from the front, you can see it clearly. Here, well, I find it simple, but it works well. And the rear as well, which is also nicely done with its lights. You can see it. And so this light strip here goes all the way to the back and stands out. And let's turn around and we'll go check out the front. That's what it looks like. Now the front, on the other hand, the advantage here is that even the upper part is padded. Here, it's very comfortable. Look, try it out, and the padding sinks in nicely. It's very comfortable. Then this too is imitation leather, this as well, this too, and then we just have plastic on this part here that closes. And the door pocket, it's actually very spacious. You can fit large 1.5 liter bottles in there. That's a good thing. Next, the window controls here, plus a lock so kids can't open them in the back. And a small detail, this looks like a carbon fiber imitation. Of course, it's not real carbon fiber, but still, the little detail with the vehicle lock here, plus a small handle near the floor mat, and the pedals, double pedals, a large footrest on the side here, which is pretty vertical. Here we have the mirror controls and the headlight height adjustment, and you pull here twice to open the hood. In the front, we have simple little floor mats, an MGS 5th with a small manual lock here to keep the mats from moving. So honestly, they're really well secured, right? The seats are electric, so both the backrest and the front seats look like the rear ones with the same texture. Still the little details. The MG here, that's very original. I admit that I saw them on camera. I hadn't seen them in real life, actually. They look even more like what I saw on camera. And during the day, this mix of fabrics with faux leather is really nice. The only small complaint I would have is that if you lean your head back, it's a little bit firm. Great. Storage here under the center console, so you can see it there. It's actually really spacious. You can put quite a lot of things in it. And then when I get inside here, what I'm going to do is immediately turn the air conditioning back on a bit because it's hot. And move back to really give you the best possible view of this interior. So sorry about the thing that smells over there, which may or may not stop. No, don't move. I'm changing the frame rate. There we go. So like this, because actually you can't see it at all. It's just with the cameras that it looks like that. So here's what the steering wheel looks like. Or so it comes out a little bit here, but it's flat here and full at the top. There are some small perforations here in the leather up here, and it's smooth. It's pretty nice. I've already had it in my hand for 2 hours. It's pretty nice. We know the buttons on the sides with MG, and we also know them on this side. The driving aids let you increase or decrease the speed, activate the driving aids, either the adaptive cruise control or level 2 driving. Here, the buttons here can be customized. Stars and stars, filled stars, empty stars, for example. Here, this has been customized to change the regenerative braking. For me, I can adjust it here. Low, moderate, strong, and adaptive displayed here as information. But I also have it here, the little box with 1, 2, 3 or adaptive. And then on this side, you can customize, for example, the modes here, normal, sport, comfort, snow, or custom. I leave it on normal mode, which works very well. So that's basically what you can do here. And the music volume is right here. Switch the screens with the information that will appear here, like music, navigation, and so on. Or the consumption info, if you want. That can be interesting. So that's what we have around the steering wheel. Here we have a small camera. You can deactivate the assists. I'll come back to that when we talk about it. This screen, you'll see, they've made a shortcut a bit like the Renault Group does. And that's actually pretty good, this screen. So, sorry, there's quite a lot of sun today. You can see the speed right in the center, the driving aids on the left, the battery percentage here, and the remaining range. What's nice is that it shows us with bars here on the side, and it's also digital. This way, the modes, she says she's ready in parking mode. The consumption here, for example, since charging, the speed, you can also disable the speeds, sorry for the blur, and the percentage of power you're using from the car. The car is brand new at 700 kilometers. We're the first in the world to be able to try it. That's why it has German plates, because they brought it in from abroad so we could test it before anyone else. This carbon imitation that you find around the dashboard here, we have this extension here, right here. This time it's soft touch plastic, and honestly, it's pretty nice. In the back we have plastic with speakers, and the sound system is pretty good. Then we find this part like we have on the doors, this area here. So it's the same, it's soft touch leather imitation. It really feels like a somewhat premium car. For the climate controls, they use physical buttons, so you get more ventilation. It comes here like this, and I can move it around more or less this way. And I adjust my temperature with this little button here, so I turn it and I can turn the air conditioning on or off here if I want to. So here, I'll set it back to 21, that'll be just fine, and power 2, because I have to admit it's hot in the full sun. Hazard lights and warning right here. And this is the radio volume, and I have a shortcut home button here, which brings me to this if I want. And that was it. Why that? Oh yes, that's to choose. Where do I want the air to blow on me here with the little animations and icons? There you go. I like the vents and the feet, the air vents. You also find air vents here as well. Double door cup holder. They put some candy here, and so I ate some petit écolier cookies. The key looks like this, so always the MG style. Hop. Here's a place to store your phone, for example. If you want to keep it here as well, you can also charge it wirelessly. On this extremely soft Alcantara part, I have to admit, I love the gearbox. Do you know it? If you know MG parking, I press here for drive. I move it to the right, it shifts here, back up this way, and look at the rear view cameras, how beautiful they are. Honestly, it's very, very nice. It's well done. We have a beautiful screen, high definition cameras. Compared to many brands, it's really not bad. And there you go. I put it back in park. It comes back here. The parking brake is here, like I told you. The large storage compartment at the bottom and an armrest with a huge storage space as well. With the 2 USB-C ports located right there, I showed you all of that. Now let's continue. A carbon limitation that goes all the way. Honestly, it's very nice on this version of Sherry, the glove box. You press here, and even though it's not huge, it's still quite spacious, which is pretty good. The seats, you can see them up top. We have a mirror here without a frame, which looks pretty nice too. However, it's up to you to switch between day and night mode. You have to save a bit on the higher end. The lights have nice white LEDs. You can turn everything on here or just one side, and the Save Our Souls button is right there. There you go. That's what the small mirror looks like. So, however, did you notice there's no lighting? And this is the quick response code. It's probably, if you want all the information about the car, you scan this quick response code and you'll get everything. I wouldn't have hidden anything. The mirrors are quite large. They have a pretty unique shape. And we still have the blind spot indicator over there, which is designed for the windows. Anyway, it's pretty good. What we're going to do now is leave from Nice Airport to get here in the first part of the video. And then later we'll leave from here. My goal is to use up 80% of the battery while driving and see what happens. And give you the real consumption figures by driving on the highway, by really going further. It's 2 o'clock and well, I'm heading out again. And here we go, trying to give you the most comprehensive review of this car on the internet. You know, every time I put in a lot of effort. I really do my best for you. So if you don't mind, just a little thumbs up like this, subscribe, leave a comment, that would be perfect. It allows me to keep doing this because I have to admit, it's not easy every day. And there you go. Thank you to everyone who does it, everyone who subscribes, everyone who leaves comments, everyone who subscribes to the channel's small membership, which starts at 99 cents per month. Thank you to those who make donations to the channel. There are a few of you from time to time, and it makes me really happy. And then, well, I'm sending you kisses again, and here we go. Now, I'm continuing. Here we go for the start then, with this new MG 100% battery, 439 kilometers displayed. Of course, air conditioning on, and so here we go. So I'm starting off in drive up, limited regeneration level showing because Since we're at 100% battery, regeneration can't recharge a full battery, so here I go. Of course, it's a 100% electric car. It's pretty nice. I'm closing the windows tightly here, so now we're indoors in a parking lot. At the same time, I wanted to show you a little bit of the interior at night, so no lighting, no ambiance or anything like that. The suspension isn't bad for this kind of big speed bump. I love this parking lot in Nice and the very important person parking for Aston Martins, Bentleys everywhere. It's incredible. Here we're kind of on the opposite side with MG, which offers really affordable cars, even the MG4. As for the arrival, it was incredibly accessible for an electric car compared to the others, and especially now with the prices there are. Well, I think that's great, and I like that a brand like this offers such prices where the largest, well, the general public can actually access it. So at the same time, I wanted to show you a few maneuvers and other things. Wow, a milk gel, that's really expensive. I love this parking lot, honestly. Every time it's like a dream. The steering is nice, it's well assisted. It's not too much either. In the city, you still get a bit of a feel. Still, it's always very quiet. I go over that a bit faster. It holds up a little, but well, it's okay. I hear the noise though, you know, the electric noise. There are a lot of vintage cars. I don't know if you can see them there, Porsche 358. I've never even seen that before. Corvette C3, incredible Triumph. There must be a rally going through here. Beautiful, beautiful. I love it. 458, all that. Wow. An MGT. Wow. But what kind of rally goes through here? But it looks like there are things under covers over there. Skyline Gran Turismo Racer, nice, nice. You're not the Gran Turismo, 3 Rennsport in yellow like that, but I don't know if you can see everything. But right here, it's beautiful, and we're going to go out. The really nice thing about electric cars is this. It doesn't make any noise, it's super discreet for daily use. It's a real pleasure. That's also an advantage. It's the same even on a hill, my rear view mirror here. Look, I stop on a hill, it starts up again on its own. It's really easy. Electric cars, really this simple and easy side, and I think that's a real plus. Actually, anyone who has never driven this kind of car, or even if you just got your license, you say, I don't have any gears to shift, I don't have to think about anything, just accelerate and brake. On top of that now, we can even have the one pedal mode that I can activate in the menus. I haven't done it yet, so I can test my brake pedal, since the braking is done elsewhere. What they call it basically means that my pedal is connected to a sensor, and the sensor sends a signal to another sensor with a piston, which is what actually brakes on the brakes. All right, so this, however, I just need to turn off the sound, disable the mute mode for alerts only. All right, here we go. There are always some small translation errors because it's disabling the mute mode. Actually, I think that here, we actually activated it by mistake. I think I made a mistake. That wasn't where I was supposed to go. Does it go through here as well or not? I think there's really a rally because the 280 SL Tulpen rally. Magnificent. How beautiful is that? That's not God, if I'm not mistaken. So the brake pedal, when I brake, it's still pretty responsive. And with a little bit of speed, you learn how to control it. So you really have to go gently. It will actually adapt to your driving. And that's actually pretty good. We have several modes. So sport mode, comfort mode, snow mode, and so on. Here I put it in normal mode, which should normally be the optimized mode. What you need to know is that, hold on, let me reset everything. Pressed. Hold it down to reset. It was already reset. But at 644 kilometers, the car is brand new. We're the first in the world to try it. That's interesting. We'll see what kind of consumption we get. And what I wanted to see is up since the start. So since the last charge, there you go, I reset everything here. And like that, it's pretty interesting. What's nice is that I have all my information, tire pressure, etc. Hold on, the total accumulated as well. I reset everything like this, at least even if I recharge or something else. Well, it'll be more interesting to have the real data. And now We're just leaving the airport. It'll be nice for the city. Great. The steering wheel is big, so knowing that you have enough to turn it at the same time gives you ease. And the bigger it is, the more precise you can be with the steering. He's off. It smells good, the gasoline, and there you go, we're off. Yeah, it accelerates pretty well. Here we merge in there. Perfect. Also, having a lot of responsiveness in electric cars is a real advantage. It's instantaneous, it allows you to merge much more easily, and it also gives you that feeling of safety. If I need to get out of something, it will still be much easier. They've reworked this battery on what's called the range, at the same time taking into account the temperatures and so on. That's software, and it actually helps increase the range. I am already at 50 kilometers per hour. What I really like to do is set my adaptive cruise control here. At 50 kilometers per hour, it's very quiet. Honestly, you can barely hear what's happening outside on a relatively clean pavement. Here, it's quite pleasant. There's the adaptive cruise control. So for example, it automatically slows down depending on what's in front. And if I'm not mistaken, here, I haven't activated the automatic steering, and now it's good. I kept my finger on the little steering wheel, which allows me to activate level 2 driving. And here, for example, we're leaving Nice Airport, traffic jam. I'm not stressed, it's no big deal. It tells me to keep my hands on the wheel. It's nice, it's not aggressive, unlike some systems that tell you to hold the wheel. I liked it, it's not bad. So here I'm also in automatic regeneration mode to have several types of regeneration. So either level 1, level 2, or level 3. So low, moderate, strong, or adaptive. Adaptive works well in the end, since it follows a bit what's happening in front, like an adaptive cruise control. And that's pretty good. We can see that more and more effort is being made. The advantage is that now they've also added a customization to disable the speed limit sign beeps. You can customize and disable everything in the menu, like I was saying, and that's really a big plus every time you restart the car. So I'm set for about an hour and 50 minutes, 75 kilometers. There should be some city driving, some highway, a bit of everything. And then I'm going to try to cover as many kilometers as possible to give you a real idea of this car's consumption, knowing that today we have the big battery in the luxury version, and honestly, it's great. Everything you touch feels nice. A bit of Alcantara here, it's nice, the armrest is well positioned. It's long, it's really rare for it to come this far forward. There it was telling me, press the accelerator pedal, beautiful M5 Touring, to be able to start again. So I touch the accelerator pedal and it restarts. It follows the lines well. Honestly, it works really well. Up to this point, we'll have to see on the highway and elsewhere how it will perform. 70. No wind noise, the rolling noises are relatively well contained. It's pleasant. It's pretty comfortable. The suspension seems to be just right in that regard. It's pretty good. On the other hand, you can hear a bit of what's happening outside, even though we have single pane windows, but they're pretty thick. But let's not forget, this isn't a luxury vehicle, but I think it's really good. In any case, you can put on a bit of music, it makes a difference. All right, I'm increasing it. We're going to set it to 90. It goes up by 5 each time. If I keep pressing up now, I'm at 90. You see, it's easily 90 without forcing it, but it goes up very easily. It really adapts to what's happening in front. Now, I don't know why he's slowing down. The joke. We also have the blind spot warning. It's quite discreet. However, you really have to remember to look 90. We have asphalt that's more abrasive and makes more noise. To be honest, we have more noise coming from the back than from the front. The rolling noise from the front is well contained. There's a slight resonance in the back, but it's not really bothersome. When we switch to a different type of asphalt, you can immediately hear less noise, and it's not even brand new asphalt that's super soundproofed. All right, now I can test it. So regeneration, level 1 doesn't do much, level 2 slows down quite a bit, and level 3 gives you even more regen. Okay, here, the toll tag goes here. Perfect. Okay, let's go. I'm accelerating again. Wow, it's working 50. The acceleration is really strong. Very, very good. That's really the sharp side. And so with the regen at max, it's pretty interesting. What I'm going to do, like now we're arriving in the city. What I'm going to do is turn on one pedal driving. I'm going to activate one pedal driving. One pedal. It really goes all the way to a stop. So I accelerate, I release, the car goes all the way to a stop. And at the end, it smooths out. So it's not too aggressive. And so I go back to my global positioning system Justice, which is a small speed bump here, very light there. It's not uncomfortable. On the other hand, what's great is that I feel like this car is going to be pretty dynamic. Because even when I do this, it doesn't roll. You can feel a slight support at the beginning for comfort, but you can tell it's not going to sink down. That's pretty good. And even with the suspension, it's comfortable, but you can feel a certain firmness. It doesn't bother me. It works well for me like this. And since the seats are comfortable, honestly, it's pretty good. And the one pedal, on the other hand, the regeneration, when you let go, it's like you're applying a light force on the brake pedal, but it slows down well. The car definitely does. For example, there, the light is red over there. By anticipating, thanks to one pedal, you never need to use your left foot, and your right foot can just stay on the accelerator pedal. For example, here I'm on my accelerator pedal and I just release it and I come to a stop. I don't need to move from left to right unless I need to brake hard. Each side has its own advantage. Personally, I often find that region 1 is pleasant or zero regen. For example, on country roads where you want things to flow and be really smooth. When I let off, I just want coasting. For example, in the city, I actually don't want that coasting. I want that feeling where as I accelerate, then I let off, and I come to a stop, and just by letting off, everything comes to a stop. And it's really very, very smooth at the end. Bravo to M or G for reworking this one pedal feel at the end, where it's really very smooth, and it makes this car really comfortable. And on top of that, we have an auto hold, so clearly we're dealing with a really good car here. With everything you need, all the necessary driving aids, well calibrated. In short, they've made a great model. So here, we're on a small country road that's a bit rough, but it's still pleasant. However, it has rained. It's wet, you have to be careful. We still have a lot of torque and power to the rear. Honestly, it's going really well. The car, as I told you, in the end, the suspension is great because dynamically it doesn't sag, you can pick up a bit of pace, and it's honestly enjoyable. I'm telling you, I really like it. I find it really pleasant. I can feel it on the road. And even when I do this, honestly, it's pretty dynamic. You can deactivate the SC if you want, just be careful though, but even when it's off, it doesn't let me do big slides. It deactivates a little, but not completely. I wanted to turn it off to tell myself, hey, it's a rear-wheel drive, maybe I can do some slides, but in the end, you really can't. It still catches you, or maybe not, actually. It's really weird, and that's exactly what I wanted to try. I had a colleague who was following me, and I wanted to talk to him specifically about extrasensory perception. Well, you see, I wanted to try the SP, and well, it catches up with you every time. And then it disconnected me. I don't know why. Yet I had turned it off, but it kept activating, though not all the time. And you see, it's not that easy to slide with an electric car, but it must have been funny. So yeah, but it was pretty nice. It was just for the test. We're testing 100% of the features. Reverse gear. Well, of course, we're being careful. There's no one on the road. And so I'd really like to understand why. Actually, it doesn't want to let me turn it off completely. No, it doesn't always work. It's pretty weird. Also, it's really slippery. It rained a lot a few minutes ago, in my opinion, but otherwise it's very pleasant. I think on dry ground it must have really good grip. Even like this, I think the tires actually have pretty good traction. So for a while now, we've just been climbing. Right now we're at the top of the Col de Vence, so our consumption is still pretty high. I haven't pushed hard up to this point, but no, even the front end is honestly pretty good, even in the wet. I'm pretty impressed by this car. They put on good tires and yeah, it grips pretty well. It accelerates quite decently and you wouldn't expect that. Actually, you think, yeah, it's going to be nice, but I didn't expect it to be this enjoyable. To drive, even a bit dynamically and often on wet roads, an electric car is usually very heavy. Here, I have to admit that even under fairly hard braking, and even in corners, I'm pretty impressed by this car. And it's quite pleasant. There's very little noise. And here though, I don't know if I've already been through here, but it's beautiful. In any case, as a road, it's really pleasant. Maybe I'll stop to get a little shot from outside. That'll make some nice intro shots. It's pretty nice. Look, even here, when we're going pretty fast, it's really the road. It's all twisted. I'm pretty surprised. Honestly, I didn't expect it to handle the road this well. So I can only imagine that on dry roads, it must be really top notch. Even looking at it, it still closes up a lot. On the other hand, the rear, since there's a lot of torque, it tends to pull you along quickly, but fortunately, the Assumption P will catch up pretty easily. So when it's wet, even in normal mode, just in normal mode, you will have to be careful with the accelerator pedal, not to press too hard so you can still keep good traction. But the assists do their job well. On the way up, I was around 30 kilowatt hours per 100, but now I've been going downhill for 2 or 3 kilometers and my average is dropping a lot. Already I'm at 25.9, and what I really like is, like I was saying, it's about energy recovery. For example, in the mountain area, there's very, very little recovery. I recharge 5% of the power, and that allows me to use, for example, freewheeling like this, and I like that. We don't have paddles to really play with, but we could, if we want, also play with the one pedal. I have to admit, I personally like, for example, being like this in freewheeling mode. And the big advantage of an electric car as well is that in the mountains, you won't overheat the brakes. Because in the end, you're basically only using electric braking almost all the time, except if you do really hard braking. But in 95% of cases, it's electric braking. So there's no overheating of the brakes, no brake wear. And honestly, for someone who lives in the mountains, well, it's actually pretty smart to have an electric car. 2 reasons why it's smart to have an electric car in the mountains. Actually, no, there are plenty of reasons. Honestly, he just thought of it. First reason, you let it charge in the snow, boom, heating, defrosting, all that, and you arrive. The car is spotless. It's warm inside and there's no snow on it. First, good thing. Second thing, you don't need to warm up the engine. Third thing, there's no gearbox. That's pretty cool. Another good thing is that every time you go down the mountain, it recharges the electricity, you generate energy. That's pretty cool. You don't use your brakes, there's no maintenance, no stuff like that. Honestly, there are a lot of benefits. Another big advantage in the mountains is that you get instant torque. Look at the option going uphill. The car, it tracks, it's direct, it pushes, it propels. And that's super important in the mountains, to have power, torque, and to be able to climb easily. So honestly, for the mountains, I think it's really smart to have an electric car. In the end, yeah, that's not stupid. I don't know if there are a lot of people in the mountains who have electric cars, but honestly, it's a big, big advantage in the mountains. To be honest with you, like I was saying, the chassis is really good, its dynamics and everything. However, I have to admit, I've been driving on mountain roads for about half an hour now. Or there's small country roads that are pretty bumpy. And I have to admit, I might have liked it to be a bit more comfortable. Because I have to admit, the car, at times, it's still quite bouncy, let's say, compared to me in the car. On the other hand, I'm going through some totally unbelievable weather. There, it was full sun. Now I'm right in the middle of fog and I had a rainstorm. The mountains really are another world, but I admit to you that at 70, 80, when the roads are a bit bumpy, you get a little bit jostled around in this car. Okay, I just got here. There's a parking spot for us. The 360 camera is perfect. And also, I see that when I back up little by little, as soon as it starts to turn red, it will show me the distance in centimeters. 69 centimeters, 66 centimeters up, 55 centimeters, 45 up, 43, 38. That's pretty cool. And then the sound, can I turn off the sound? I can't exit the screen rear view camera when I'm in reverse. Also, who are they? No, there's nothing to turn off the sound. It's a bit of a shame. Parking, otherwise it doesn't stop. And so in terms of consumption, 2 hours and 34 minutes on, 76 kilometers covered, 16.4 kilowatt hours, which is actually pretty good. I still have 344 kilometers of range left and 82%, so 76 kilometers. That made me use up 18%, knowing there was an uphill at the start, but also a lot of downhill. But we're still up in the heights here, so we'll see how it goes. I'm looking forward to testing the range. And if there really are 344 left, well, we'll try to go as far as possible. I'm also taking the highway to get more steady driving at the same time. 90, 110, and we'll try to do at least 100 kilometers. 230 would be pretty interesting. Yeah, see you later, pantry guard. So you know me, we're gonna head out again. So I gave you the introduction, all that stuff. 128, I'm going to Toulon. He tells me that when I arrive in Toulon, I'll have 48% battery left. So that seems pretty good to me, and maybe we'll try to do even better. And then I'll put this address back in here to see what percentage of battery I'll have when I get there. I took a charging card because you never know, but I'll get back to you on the highway. All right, merging here onto the A8 highway. Well, he's really dragging along right now. All right, guys, I don't want to mess anything up. I think it's 110 here, so what I'm going to do is set my cruise control here to 110, and we've still got a long way to go. 110 kilometers per hour. We hadn't done 110 until now. Honestly, it's pretty good for soundproofing. We're starting to get a little bit of wind noise at 110 kilometers per hour, which is totally normal, but it's still pretty good. I'm going to pass again because it's dragging a little bit. The big advantage is honestly the acceleration. Even from 90 or even at 110 is impressive, honestly. I even feel like I have more than 231 horsepower. Honestly, it feels like something that has 300 almost. It's actually pretty impressive, the acceleration, the instant response every time with these electric cars. I'm going to calmly stop at the station right there. Are you ready? Let's go. It's off to a good start. 30, 50, 60, 65, 80, 90, and 100. It's fast, efficient. Honestly, that's more than enough. It goes straight to 130 kilometers per hour right after SPH. That's cool. Come on, even at 100, 120, 130, even above 100 kilometers per hour, it accelerates well. I have to admit, I didn't expect there to be so much power, even at high speed. Here we go, 130 kilometers per hour. So at 130, you start to notice more wind noise. So at the front of the windshield, but it's still honestly pretty moderate. You can hear the rolling noise a little more, but honestly, it's fine. It's not the rolling noise that's going to bother you. It's old asphalt here. And the wind noise, it's still perfectly fine. I'll put on a bit of music like this.
This year, Corona refreshes you with Corona Extra,
our blonde beer.
I quickly forget the sound of the wind, and even if someone is next to me, I'll be able to talk without necessarily having to raise my voice too much. By going at 130 kilometers per hour or more, there's no engine and there's no combustion engine. So since it's electric, there's no engine noise. It's just a little bit of wind noise, clearly. Well, it's not bad. What's a shame is that we don't have the real-time consumption. I would have liked to see it to give you an idea. Right now, we're at, 117 kilometers, and I have an average of 16.7 kilowatt hours per 100. Let's see what happens now. Right now, I have at least 30 kilometers, 230, according to what it tells me. We'll see what the consumption will be. Once I got off the highway, the average went up to 20 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. So it really shows that on the highway, it does consume a lot. really a lot more. I just left the highway and I've done 206 kilometers with this car. So a little over 100 kilometers were exclusively on the highway. At 130, let's say, I think about 100 kilometers at 130. There was also a stretch at 110. And now I'm going to take some smaller roads and I won't go over 110 kilometers per hour anymore because I have a little detour to make. And hopefully I won't have to recharge to get back to where I'm supposed to sleep tonight. All right, this time we're heading back in an hour, 1 hour from here in 80 kilometers. He asked me, am I going to add charging stops? Me, I'm not going to do it for you. And there wasn't really a planner, but we can add charging stops. And he tells me that I'll arrive with 9% battery left. I think that if I have 9 or 10% left, that seems consistent to me with how this car is used, because we never really go all the way down to 0 battery. So even if I arrive with 9 or 10%, I think that's fine for me. Being someone who likes to play around, I decided to turn back and learn from the highway. By driving at 90, so since earlier, I did about 80 kilometers by driving at 110 kilometers per hour. Then I said I'll go back the other way at 90. He says that I'll arrive with 4% battery left, fingers crossed. Normally, it should work out. 4%, I'm almost good, let's say 12%. He told me that, hey, hello, maybe it would be good to recharge. Then there I say to myself, it's not really worth it, you know? So I have 5% left. An interesting little point, for example, here I'm at 70 and 90, I floor it. There's no longer all 231 horsepower there. Here we're no longer in Asia Spring, but it's still climbing. And there you go, 87, 88, 89, 90. That's it. Now it's telling me to recharge. It told me I've reached the point of no return for charging because there are no more charging stations nearby. So it told me if you don't recharge while following the route, you're done. You can't recharge anymore. There are no more charging stations nearby. So this time, 5%. I really switched to eco mode, to degraded mode. But I can still drive at 90. It just takes longer to get there. You'll have power like you have a small car, but it still goes. All right, after that, 6 hours, 50 minutes are spent on board this car. Today, average at 49 kilometers per hour, 339.8 kilometers completed. Team active at 21 degrees. All day long there was heating, 339.8 kilometers completed. Team active at 21 degrees all day. There was heating because it was very cold this morning in the rain, the fog in the mountains, and at 1,000 meters altitude. We arrived at Nice airport, sea level. We went up to 1,000 meters, then we came back down. We did that. So we gained some elevation, 339.8 kilometers at an average of 17.6 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. I have 4% left. So with a mix like this, let's say we're clearly talking about a real true mix here. Daily use. By the way, I can lower this a bit. The heater here isn't needed anymore, but I'll leave it on anyway. 339 kilometers, that's doable. We really did all kinds, uphill, downhill, steep climbs, a bit of dynamic driving and so on. So 49 kilometers per hour, that's about the average people do, even often. I don't know if you notice when you're riding in the city, sometimes we're even around 30 to 35 kilometers per hour. For people who are, for example, in Ile-de-France, it doesn't go very fast. An average, and the faster we go, the less it consumes. If I hadn't done the stretch of highway at 130, the 100 kilometers at 130, I think we could have gone much further, 360 kilometers in my opinion, because what you need to know is that consumption is exponential. For example, between 100, 110, 110, 130, that's really how it goes. And at 130, it consumes a lot. So that's pretty good. A battery of 64 kilowatt hours gross, so we're a little bit below 60 in net. There you go, by really doing a mix. And here, I could have started charging. Being at 4% here, that's the best, because you can charge electrons at full power to recharge, up to 80%. So basically, in about half an hour, I would have gone back up to 80%, and I could have gone back down to 4. As the advantage is, for example, if you really know your car and trust it, you can go down to 1. But as we saw, even in a 5% lap, we were still losing a lot of power, etc. On the highway, we have to be careful not to mess around, but at worst, we can still set it to 90 with a truck regulator, everything. Anyway, what do we think about this car? It's a good car, it's nice. I went to see some friends and they told me they love the design, they think it's nice. They had DMG, some old ones, he was okay with the fact that, well, they made electric cars, hybrids, etc. Why not? Do we keep the same logo like we saw on the old one? The interior is well done, the seats were pretty good, the steering wheel is comfortable, the driving aids work well, even though there are 2 or 3 little things that could be improved, which will probably come with updates. Well, you know, it's not on the same level as Mercedes, but it doesn't cost the same as a Mercedes either. The seats are good, they're comfortable, the music is pretty good. Honestly, I was listening to music the whole time when I wasn't filming. The space in the back is huge, the trunk is pretty generous. In short, it's a good car for this price. MG, they're still pretty unbeatable when it comes to value for money. And honestly, the chassis is great. Maybe a little bit firm in certain really specific conditions, but for example, for the highway, perfect roads, the city, it was just on the small mountain roads. It was a little bumpy, and I was moving around a bit in the car. Other than that, the suspension is pretty comfortable, and at the same time, top level in terms of dynamism. In short, it's not bad, it's really not bad. What do you think about it? Feel free to let me know in the comments. And don't forget to give a thumbs up and feel free to subscribe. And well, now I'm going to try to go to bed, or maybe not. And from 6:45 post-meridium to 7 o'clock post-meridium, there's a press conference. So I have to follow a 1-hour press conference. Wish me luck so I don't fall asleep, all right? Have a good day or a good evening. See you soon. Bye.